Sing snort.
Right as I clapped, he went.
It's a sing snort.
Sing snort. Good boy.
Instead of clapping, we just snort now.
I like that.
Are you kidding me?
Hello everyone, you're very welcome back to another video. My name's Amy, I'm a musician. I knew this was gonna happen.
And you're a dog mom.
And I'm a dog mom, obviously, because he is craving our attention right now.
You gotta curl, okay? You gotta curl
lay down, lay down.
Take a nap.
Lay down.
Naps are good.
Naps are good. I'll take a nap.
Diddy
Because
loves
someone
naps.
told me to take a nap, I'll take a nap.
Diddy loves naps. Okay.
Take two. That was a good one. Hello everyone, you're very welcome back to another video. My name is Amy, I'm a musician, I play guitar and I sing and I make videos that consist mostly of cover songs, guitar content, vlogs, and sometimes I talk about music and music related things, but today is a little bit different. I have a special guest with me today. This is my husband, Ashton.
Hello.
Some of you may know him from his channel, Trilogy Media, and you might be wondering what is he doing here? Well,
I live here.
you live here, so...
This is my normal life.
Yes.
Believe it or not, I'm not on a scooter 24/7 chasing
You're not
scammers.
You're not flying around LA chasing bad guys usually. So thank you for taking the time to film with me today.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm the most important thing.
You are the most important.
In the past, we've done videos together, a series called Irish versus American. So we've a bunch of videos. I'll link them in the playlist below. There's a whole bunch. Go check them out if you want to. But we're not doing Irish versus American today. Sorry to disappoint. Today we're going to talk more about, I don't know, maybe a little bit more personal. We're going to talk about relationships. Our relationship.
We're in a relationship?
I think so.
Oh.
Oh crap.
It's interesting for me because usually you're the one that's a little bit more reserved to reveal personal life online.
That's
where
true.
I don't really give a shit so
That's
much.
also true.
When it's about me. Well, go watch our channel for context. You know, I'm less reserved with that kind of thing than you. So I'm surprised that you wanted to do this.
Well, we're not gonna like divulge like all of our
Why?
personal life. I don't know. Only things that the internet needs to know. We're just on a need to know
Thankfully,
basis.
you're editing this, so you can cut out.
I am
whatever
editing
say.
this, but I specifically want to talk about not divulging our innermost personal things, but I specifically want to talk about the fact that we were a long distance couple, and that's not really the norm for people. I know long distance relationships are a thing, and there's actually a lot more people in them than people realize. I feel like it's also not the most conventional way to meet somebody and then get married. So I thought, I think it's interesting. I thought our story is interesting, and there's like obviously lots of things that we've talked about over the last few years, just some things people know, but I feel like there's a lot that people don't know of like how we got through being a long distance couple and eventually closing the distance. And
Well, it's one of the first questions we get anytime we meet someone together.
so
They
true.
say, you're from Ireland. Oh, you live in LA. How did you meet? That's almost always the first question.
Oh, or when I meet somebody that's like, how did you meet your husband? I'm like, well, how long have you got?
What does your husband do for a living?
Oh, I hate that one.
So do I, honestly. What do you say?
Oh,
When people ask you that when I'm
I
not
always-
standing there,
I
what do
think
you
it,
say?
I think it starts with a sigh, like, well.
Would you rather I just go like be an accountant and just make this easier for everybody?
Well, it depends on if it's in passing. I'm like, oh, he's an editor. No, I'm kidding. I usually say, oh, he runs his own production company. That's the short answer. But then usually that's like, oh, if I say he's a YouTuber, people are like, oh, okay, I need to know more about that. So it depends, but it's a little weird. Especially the nature of your channel. It's very...
Yeah, it's not like I'm sitting there and...
It's not like you do what I do and you just sit there and talk shite.
That's
like
not
you
what I was going to say. I don't know. It's not a straight lace, like,
Yeah.
it's not, you don't know what, it's not like a lot of channels, and partly why channels can be successful is because you know what to expect when you go and you watch said channels. Why you subscribe because you want more of that thing. And I think we kind of do that to an extent, but it's also, we have a very unpredictable nature about what we're going to be doing next.
Yeah.
And we evolve quite quickly, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the question was.
That's okay. I also wanted to mention, like, I feel like before we get into it, it's already been 10 minutes. I feel like we're just gonna kind of have a conversation today, so we might get on a few tangents. So what I'm thinking of doing is if anyone has questions or more questions about anything we talk about today, maybe just drop them in the comments. And if we get enough questions, we might do like a follow-up Q&A and answer anything specific. So
Done
we
deal.
might kind of go off the rails a little bit today, but we'll bring it back maybe for another video. So do leave a comment, because if we get 1 or 2, it's not going to be enough for a whole video. So if we get enough comments, we'll do a follow-up. And also like and subscribe. That would help me out too.
Get her to 10K for sake.
I'm hoping I'll be there by the time this goes up.
I mean,
who knows? Who knows?
I keep telling you,
I know.
be patient. But like,
I
mean, it's time. Like, just
it's time.
Just
It's been 4
Share
years.
the video. If you had a laugh, if you had a giggle, if you did an LOL, which is literally just a nasal exhale, you know,
That's an
share
LOL.
it. Oh yeah. How often when you text someone LOL are you actually laughing out loud?
See, this is what I mean by tangents.
LOL has been downgraded. Yeah, because if you're actually doing that, you don't say LOL. You're like, you do LMFAO in all caps with 6 emojis, or you do literally laughing out, like you have to tell them that you're doing the thing that LOL was supposed to mean. LOL now means a small exhale out of your nose with a straight face. That's an LOL in texts and in comments. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what the question was. It's just...
Do you remember when you asked me for my number? Do you remember that?
I mean, I imagine it would have been within the first 24 hours, probably.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, we should talk about what happened. And
So,
you should say what you said to me. In fact, you should bring it up on screen.
No, because you...
I asked, so a little insider.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're going to keep this or not. But,
go ahead.
Little insider. So
No, go for it.
she slid into the DMs. This is all her fault.
Not intentionally.
And how do you accidentally text someone? A perfectly worded, adorable, well thought out text. Oops. I wish you could accidentally make a pizza. You texted me first, and
well, texted, Instagram DM'd specifically. It was that just so we're clear.
It was a text format sent.
Right, but it wasn't a
digitally.
text message because I didn't have your phone number.
Well,
but
you were
were
about to get it.
Yeah.
You knew what you wanted. You knew what your intentions were.
I didn't know I was gonna get it.
So anyway, what I was going to say is I asked her for permission. I was going to share, because in the early episodes we have a show called the Robocall. I was going to potentially show the first text that she sent me.
And you asked me.
I asked you. I didn't get a yes or a no. And I figured if I assumed yes, I'd get in trouble. So I just didn't. It's something that she freaks out whenever if we're in like a social setting and I bring it up and I start to read it, and it's like a like a poker.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
In an attempt to tease me, you tend to bring this up sometimes. If somebody asks,
so will there be a
how
text
did you
reveal?
meet?
Will there be a reveal?
You're always like, well, why don't you show them?
There's no better
Show
way
them.
than to just read the damn. So will there ever be a reveal?
Again, you're not going to get a yes or a no.
Okay.
Basically, I was watching your channel roundabout when you were at this size. A little bit more than 10K. I was just enjoying the videos, and again, like, how many people do you watch on YouTube when you're like, that person's cute, just objectively, but you're not like.
I'm so glad she thought that. By the way, I don't know why, but it worked in my benefit.
I do. I kind of forget the timeline exactly, but I'd been watching you for like, it was over that summer anyway, and then I DM'd you just like. I mean, I get DMs like this, like, hey, love your videos.
Be honest.
Keep up the good work.
Be honest.
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you might leave stuff out.
I might have just like, that's what.
Why are you turning red?
I'm not. That was the gist of the message. It was just like, hey, keep up the good work. Love your videos. There was some cringy fan reference, and by the way, you're kind of cute.
Ah, there it is. Flirty from the get-go.
That was it. But like, I wasn't gonna. That wasn't.
There were emojis. There were
there wasn't
accentuated punctuation. It was very flirty.
Not very flirty. I'd say a little bit flirty, but it wasn't very flirty. It had a healthy
dose of flirty floopage to it.
Oh my god.
Why did you send that?
Why did you answer it?
You gotta answer your question. Let's go chronological.
I already said why I answered it.
No, why
why I sent it.
No,
I already said.
You said you were watching.
I was a fan, and I thought you were kind of cute.
For a little while. What made you make that change? Talk about that night, because I love hearing that story. That night that you sent it, and what you were thinking, and when you saw I was replying.
Yeah, you just like to hear me say it. Okay.
Why are we here telling the story?
I remember kind of writing the message and was like, I probably won't send this, or I won't send it right now. I'll kind of see how I feel, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else does that, where you're like, I'll write something out, but I might just like wait and see how I feel if this is okay to send, and I might not send it right now. I might send it later. And then I remember typing it out, and I was like,
That's how I feel about DoorDash.
Okay. So I
maybe
might
I'll order it, maybe I won't.
And then you fill up the cart and you're like, okay, I'll order it.
I mean, I've gone this far, I might as well just
exactly. So I think that's literally what happened. Is I got to the end and I was like, fuck it, I'll send it. And like put my phone down, because this was like, I think it was like 11 p.m. for me in Ireland, so it was like, getting ready for bed, and put the phone down, like went to brush my teeth, and was like mid brushing my teeth, and it was just one of those thoughts where like, I wonder has he seen it yet? But like not really expecting, and like middle of brushing my teeth, go back to check, and I see he's already typing, and I'm like, what?
Which now,
or as you would say, oh,
what? Doesn't it like not tell you if they've seen it though, unless like I know things social media changes, but like I know at least on some platforms it won't tell you any information about their receipt of it if they're not following you or something.
Yeah,
I forget how that works. I mean, obviously that's how it happened, but you were obviously following me, but I don't think we had never. I mean, you had left comments on our videos. In fact, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm trying to piece together the timeline.
So this is like early days of Trilogy Media, which some people might remember this, but you guys used to do videos called 45-second update that you would post on a Monday.
It was a Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a fan. Because
you
used
crazy
to,
that you remember it was
you
on
used
Mondays.
To post like every day in a week,
we were
but
doing
you'd
five
have
videos a week. Yeah.
5 videos a week, but every day was a different theme. So like Monday you'd do like a quick update on what you guys were getting up to, and then Tuesday you'd do like a scam bait, and then Wednesday you'd do something else, and Thursday you'd do another scam bait, and then what I forget the other days, but I just remember specifically on Mondays you used to do like, and you'd start the timer, and you'd be like, and you'd always be in a random place. You'd be like on a kayak, or at the beach, or at Disneyland, or like you did it, or Hollywood was one as well. Like you just did random places, and you'd be like, okay, go. This week we're doing this. This week we're doing this. This week we're doing this. And then at one point you started shouting out fans, and you'd pick 3 comments, and you'd be like, shout out to this viewer, this viewer, this viewer. And so you shouted me out the very first time you did that. You were like, Amy McDonough guitar.
And that was before
and da-da-da-da-da.
You messaged me.
That was before.
Really?
Yeah, wait.
Or did I do it as a result of our talking? Like
you're right. I
you.
left the comment possibly before I messaged you, but I think it was might have been even like
I may have like
because we were then talking.
It may have been a nod to you in that moment.
I think
like,
so.
Yeah, I'm not a catfish. I really am on the. You really are talking to me.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it was the one where we were in Venice Beach, right? We were sitting on the rocks.
Yeah, and I think you got soaked by the ocean or something.
Yeah, and the Russian dolphin was born.
Russian dolphin, that's right. God,
With
this is like
we had a cube GoPro underwater. Yeah.
Yes, that video. Oh my God. 2017. Yeah, 2017.
It's crazy.
You are just being the best subscribers that we could possibly ask for. Every single 45-second update, I'm going to do a shout out to 3 of you. Starting with Amy McDonough. You are awesome.
I remember the first time I sent you like a selfie. Like you knew who I was. And obviously there's the possibility of catfishing, but I think it was pretty clear quite quickly. That'd be a really interesting video. I think when people hear a lot of like online relationships, they just assume it's a scam or it's fishy because that stuff is so prevalent today. But like how quickly, I'm already going hoarse, how quickly we were able to establish that we were the real people. Like there was no like messing or dodging or anything weird. It was just like, you're you and I'm me, and there's no issue with proving that. I remember you finding my Instagram, and you like sent me a screenshot of one of my recent posts. I think it was like my Love on the Weekend cover or something, and you were like, oh my God, you're so beautiful.
Well, after we started talking, I was digging.
You were digging,
and
stalking me.
Cyber stalking.
Cyber stalking. We all do that.
It's ironic though that we eventually our content would evolve to doing a lot of romance scam type of investigations.
Yeah.
It wasn't in our ether of our content really that much yet.
I remember, this is a random memory, but somebody at some point left a comment on either one of your videos or one of your live streams. Did you do a video at one point that was like facts you might not know about Trilogy Media?
Yeah,
you
a few
did,
of those. Yeah,
and I just...
Or we did Q&As, and then we did one video. It was like 15 things you didn't know.
Yeah, and one of them was like, Ashton is engaged to a fan. And then someone left a comment saying like, be careful, like after a green card type of situation.
It's probably still there.
It probably is. As after the green card, really.
I know.
All along. I mean, it's obvious,
playing
isn't
the part
it?
for the YouTube channel.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
You don't really live here.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
Well, hang on. I said my part.
Wait, no.
What about
So
you?
anyway, we're moving on, and then
I said I was brushing my teeth. I saw that you were typing back.
And then we were in New York.
And then we were... That's just like that.
Yeah.
So from
It's
your
all
end,
your fault.
So from your end then, what was happening?
Well, yeah, we were about this size, roughly. I mean, we had, and you know, that's what I keep telling you too. It's like everyone's growth journey is vastly different. But one thing that's consistent is the ebb and flow. Like we shot to 10K very quickly because we had some other other things that were happening. But then like we plateaued for a long time. It took us maybe a year and a half to get another 10K. So it's like, it just doesn't work like that, especially on YouTube. And so anyway, but we were at a point where we were starting to see some like growth, and it was starting to become a thing. I was nowhere near full time with Trilogy. I was still very much in my freelancer transition time, but we were at a place where I would still see DMs, like, and this is not meant at all to sound, you know, unreachable or unapproachable. It's just when you get to a certain point when there's so many that you can't, it's physically impossible to read, reply, or acknowledge them all. And I hate that because I know what it's like to be a fan of something, and no one ever wants to be ignored. And I know that the whole reason I'm even able to do this is because of the fans. So the last thing I want anyone to feel is ignored. But unfortunately, when you get to a certain place, it just becomes physically impossible. But we were not in that place yet. And I was able to still see most DMs. And in that moment, I saw that come through. I was at El Torito Mexican restaurant in Marina del Rey, California. I don't really remember. It's almost like I buzzed into reality when you sent me, because I don't remember why I was in El Torito. I know I was in there by myself, and I can't remember if I had met someone before that, or maybe I just stopped there.
You were on a date.
That I know I wasn't happening. Definitely wasn't happening. Trust me. But I know what table I was sitting at. I don't remember what I ordered, but I was just in like the bar area. I wasn't at the bar, but I was in the bar area at one of those high tops. I saw a DM come through from, you scroll through and you're able to just kind of read, and immediately, usually when you get a DM or you get a message or someone, right now for me it's emails, like so many of them. Within the first few sentences, you can usually tell if this I don't want to insult anyone, but if this is like a normal person,
yeah,
or if they're not a normal person.
No, it happens to me too.
Not throwing shade at anyone.
Like, it is the internet after all.
It's the internet,
yeah.
So like you can tell right off the bat.
So I get DMs from people. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, I know. So anyway, I saw it come in. You had a profile picture, which you looked cute, but it was so small, and then you're small in the photo, like it was with you with a guitar, and it's funny now looking back at that, because it's like you were way more meek with your content back then. Like you were making videos.
I wasn't talking.
You weren't talking to the camera. You wouldn't even look at the camera. You were playing songs, and you were very far from the camera, and it was just about the guitar, and you weren't applying any of your personality yet. So the profile picture, I could barely see it, but I mean what I saw, you were cute, but like it was what stood out more was the first few sentences you could see in the preview when you're scrolling messages, and it was something to the extent which you might as well just put it on screen. But anyway, if you don't put it on screen, something like hey, I'm a big supporter, and just so I clicked in and read it, and it was a nice little paragraph. It wasn't too terribly long, but she was flirty, and I was like, oh.
Flirty's a stretch. I will argue.
It's not a stretch. It was flirty. Put it on the screen.
Put it on the screen.
Anyway, I know this will blow a lot of your minds, but I'm not like a player. I never was.
Put your pinky rings up to the moon.
I'm
Players only.
I'm not swimming in underpants. I never have been in my life.
Good.
I've been, and that's a part of that is just because I'm shy naturally, but also part of that is because I've been very career centric and focused on my goals since I was like 13 years old. When I was like before even high school, I was in magic and all the so I was just a very focused kid. I didn't even drink until I was like almost literally 2 weeks before I was 21.
You rebel.
Anyway, so this was like not a common exchange for me. Very cute, and by that point I clicked on her profile. She's a musician. She's talented. She's hot. I was like, wow. So I replied. I was in a place where I wanted to reply. I don't really think I gave it too much thought.
Just the stars aligned.
It was just like, hey, there's this really cute girl that is saying hi to me. And at that point, I did as much as I could to reply to fans in general. But I don't know, I could just tell this one was a special one. Not with any like future intentions, but just like, oh, I don't know.
Now you're going right.
Let me fire. No, that's the sun. Let me fire back a reply, and I don't remember what I said. You don't need to put that on screen, but
I will.
No,
if I'm doing one, I'll do both.
It's tit for tat.
Okay.
If you're gonna, okay. I replied back. I returned the compliment about cuteness in one way or another. I forget how I said it.
I think I just my head probably was through the ceiling at this point, so I don't remember.
I replied. It was very nice, and actually, I do you want to talk about quite?
Quite?
Didn't I say you're quite cute yourself? I think that was one of the
sentences.
That's
right. I forgot about that.
Which you read that almost as an insult. And I
yeah,
didn't
it's like someone says you're quite cute. I was like, quite cute.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a difference in culture.
An Irish versus American was born.
Maybe, yeah, pretty much. I don't know.
Yeah, quite is like a little bit.
I can see that in some contexts, but also I think I meant it in like a sarcastic way, which meant a lot.
AKA flirting. You're quite cute yourself,
Well, you started it. But, if I'm trying to think of an example. You walk into a big-ass mansion. This house is quite big. It's like sarcastic in its diminishing of...
Yeah,
that's
I
what
get
I
you.
meant.
I get, okay.
I was like, you're very cute, but I didn't want to be like, you're very cute. That's creepy. You're quite cute. Anyway, so I replied, and then we were DMing pretty much nonstop for the rest of the day.
So back to the asking for the number, I remember we were already connected on Instagram, and I remember you saying, I don't know if you remember this, but you were like, you asked for my phone number, and then you followed it up with, I know I can't text you because we're in different countries, but like, it was like, you said something like, I'd like to just see it in my phone. I want to see what the number looks like.
That's kind of cute.
That is cute.
It's embarrassing, but it's cute. I'll also admit, too, I mean, I sat there for a while going back and forth with you.
Yeah.
And I remember, because I was maybe 6 minutes away from where I lived at the time in Marina Del Rey. But even still, I remember pulling over on the way home because I didn't want to let too much, because I knew it was late for her.
I did that too.
By this point, I knew she was in Ireland. We had talked briefly about where she was in the time zone, so I knew she was potentially going to bed soon. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to keep talking to her, so I got in the car, left the parking lot, and then I saw that she texted me. I pulled over and then continued the conversation, sent a text, kept driving. So I don't know if it was once or twice, but on the way home, I tried my best to not delay my responses.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny that you say that, because not that night, but I did the same thing. If I would like text you when I was leaving my job at the time, and I would not wait till I got home to text you back. I would, literally pull in, reply to the text, keep driving, and then pull in, reply to the next. Oh my god, that's so funny that we both did that. From the first message, which, if I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe it was a Friday. I don't know why I think that. Friday night for me, Friday afternoon for you. But the following Sunday, so nine days later, we had booked
flights. Which is wild. 9 days later, we had flights booked to meet in New York. New York is roughly halfway between Ireland and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Now, by that point, we had video chatted. We had talked extensively on the phone. So it's like when people, it's an interesting thing to look at how we spend so much time looking into catfish and romance scams. The red flags, this just further emphasizes the importance of picking up on red flags. There was zero hesitation from either of us, other than natural nerves, but zero hesitation to speak verbally on the phone.
Oh,
video chat.
Like, there's nervousness, but you're like, I want to.
And neither of us asked each other for money.
Yes, we never ever exchanged money.
Neither of us
ever.
were on an oil rig in the ocean on military leave. Like, there's a lot of red flags to look out for. None of them were prevalent here.
Yeah, we both had working video camera, and no money was ever asked for.
With that being said, this was a massively larger risk for you than it was for me. You're a girl. Yeah. Your flight would have been to a different country. You didn't know, like, why the hell did you do that?
Yeah,
it's so dangerous.
Well, it's one of those things where it doesn't, like, in the moment, and when it's happening to you, it feels different.
Yeah, of course.
And
I think even romance scam victims will say that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very easy. Like, even now looking back, I'm like, I did that. And I can only imagine, well, I know how people around me felt about it, but when I tell the story to other people, or I tell it now, like, it sounds insane. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't advise people to do that, but I don't know. Despite what people may think, I actually do, I think, have my head screwed on for the most part. And I was pretty sure that I
wasn't going to kidnap you and murder you in Central Park.
Like, it just didn't feel in any way manipulative or with any kind of malintent or anything like that.
And didn't I show your family, like, my passport and, like...
You did, but that was
later.
After.
Was it?
Like, that was, like, because we did our New York trip in December.
Well, we booked it 9 days later, but we still had 2.5 months before it actually happened.
Yes.
So you're saying... So when did I meet because you didn't tell your dad at first.
Yeah,
I don't know how much you want to talk about that.
Dad was a tough one to crack.
Papa Finn, I'm so sorry I put you through that.
I was really scared to tell him.
Sorry,
so.
not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Anyway.
He still wants you to disappear.
Which he said in his speech at our wedding.
No, he loves you.
Papa Finn, I love you so much.
He loves you.
But you didn't tell him right away, and I can understand why. I mean, I would never let you do that if I were
No, and I'm like...
I mean, you were a grown adult, but still. Like,
I was 25. I knew he'd be concerned. It wasn't from a point of, like, daughter, you're not doing that. No, it was just like...
Would have freaked out.
I guess because I didn't want to scare him, and I knew it sounded crazy, so it was just me kind of like, I'll tell him at the right time, in the right way, so that it's almost like, okay, this is happening, but it's okay. Like, you don't have anything to freak out about.
How risky that is. Not just from a safety perspective,
I know.
but, like, we committed to staying in New York for 5 days. She's in a country she doesn't live in. Like, what if it just we didn't vibe, Like, what if...
Well,
what if we knew we would, because we'd spend hours on the phone and in video chat.
Yeah, and there was, like...
But...
We talked about that. I was like, I think at this point, I'm 99% sure that it's going to be the same in person, because over the phone and video chat, like, the attraction was so strong for both of us. So I was like,
I don't know why.
There's a 1% chance that in person it's not going to work.
Fun fact, the moment
Fun fact!
Insert Olga transition.
Fun fact! Just...
The moment we met face to face is captured on film. It's up to you if you want to show it. You can't hear anything, really. It's just the moment in the airport.
That's what I wanted to tell you, that story of, like, us landing in New York. And you went through a whole thing of, like, you wanting to set up the GoPro and you had to do it really quickly in the end. And
Well, yeah, I mean, we both had long flights, and then her being in another country, she wasn't going to have reception until she got into the airport.
Yeah, to get on the Wi-Fi, yeah.
And so for me, I was supposed to land, like, I don't know, half an hour before you.
I think it was even an hour. Like, you were supposed to land at 2 p.m. and I was supposed to land at 3.
I was nervous as all hell. I think I even took a little vlog when I landed. Like, oh my god. It may even be in that big vlog. Like, there was a vlog posted on Trilogy's channel.
The bazooka vlog.
Yeah, that encompassed a lot of things, but my New York trip was part of it. There's a lot of B-roll in there you might even want to pull from.
I might.
But I landed, and I knew I was supposed to be there before you, so I didn't want to be like... I didn't want to smell like airplane. I didn't want to be sweaty. I didn't want to be nervous. I wanted to get to the airport, take a minute, collect myself, and try to look possibly as near as you can on a video chat. I just didn't want to be a mess. But as second I landed and I turned off airplane mode, I already had a text from her that she was already in the airport. She landed early. I was like, so then my nerves just quadrupled in that moment. The heart sinking like, oh, shit. And she's landing in a different terminal. And it was a JFK.
JFK.
So I had to find the turn. I mean, it was just like a lot of walking, and I'm not a walker. I have asthma. I was gonna sweat, and I was just like, God damn it, That's what this was going on in my head at the time.
God damn it.
So anyway, but I was able to. I found my way because I knew. Did you have to do customs in JFK or?
No, I did it in Dublin.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you had to wait for your bag.
I had to wait. Yeah, I had to wait for my bag.
I'm not sure if I checked.
No, I had my bag.
Did you? I don't know if I checked a bag either. But
I had my bag.
The point is, I made it to her terminal, and I found the place where my best guess was that of an escalator she was going to be coming up. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's coming out of this terminal. She has to come up this escalator. So I stopped there. And I was like, I'll catch her here. This is relatively... And again, this is like a big moment. I'm like, I'm only going to get this real face-to-face first impression once.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be like, in front of the bathrooms. I didn't want it to be... next to the
bathrooms.
I don't want it to be next to someone screaming on a microphone. And so the top of the escalator found this little area that was relatively calm and quiet, and I'm like, I don't want to miss this moment. I don't know why. I had a GoPro with me. I wanted to film it. So I put my suitcase, and it was just this little cube. I don't know what kind of model it was. It was a little tiny cube GoPro. I put it on my suitcase, and I just stood there, and I think I just paced back and forth for 15, 20 minutes. I don't know what took you so damn long. I don't know how I was able to get there so quickly if you didn't get a bag or go through customs. But regardless,
I don't know.
It worked. She came up the escalator.
What do you remember in that moment?
I just remember my heart pounding. I was nervous.
Yeah,
I wanted to. I'm self-conscious as hell.
Oh.
Just in general, you want to be what the person thinks you are.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And
I remember you had your leather jacket, which
I
still to this day love the smell of because it reminds me of that trip. It just that scent is like just like hugging you a lot, and just the smell of that jacket. It just reminds me of that trip.
So that's on camera. I think I kissed you right away. I wanted to break
the
ice.
You did. That's right. Because I wasn't expecting you to kiss me right away. So I think in the tape I'm a bit like, oh, okay. Like I was a bit like.
I needed to. I just wanted to. I
it was
to break
really
the ice.
sweet too as well. It was like just a
little thing.
Yeah, it was very cute. I just remember from my perspective, like coming up the escalator, and it was perfect as well because it was right under that I Heart New York.
Yeah.
Which was like,
which I've since crossed that exact same spot. A few times.
Yeah.
On work trips to New York, and I'm like, oh.
Do you think of me?
Oh. Do I think of you? The bear shit in the woods.
I just remember coming up the escalator. Yeah, my heart pounding as well. Like really, like just everything, nerves, adrenaline, like everything, probably even a little bit of shakes. And I just remember I had a red woolly hat on. Do you remember that? I just remember like when I first saw you, like this was the face you made, like your reaction to seeing me in person. You went like that. And I was like, I just thought that was really cute. It was like, it just made it all so like real in the moment. Like, oh my God, he's there. And oh my God, she's there. And
I remember that walk to the cabs is just
on
cloud nine. It was just like I say this in full confidence. The way that I felt on this weekend, with all the risks and all the things that could have gone wrong, just that level of in the clouds, feeling like this is not real.
Yeah.
The amount of like literally living a dream, just it sounds cheesy as shit.
It
but
does.
It was probably the most magical 5 days of my life. And I mean, everything that's followed with us has just gotten infinitely even better. But I just mean with the condensed time and the excitement and just that feeling of like, I have never experienced anything like this before. This is so weird. Yeah. But like, just going to see Lara Croft, like all the things that we did, going to eat, it was just constant high. Just constant, holy shit, this is happening. Like, I can't explain it. I never will be able to explain it. You won't understand it unless you've been through it. But that's how I felt.
And the same for my end.
And the rest is history, I guess.
Literally. So that's one thing I wanted to, like, not to pull out of that trip if you want to keep discussing stuff, but that's one thing that I just find so interesting is like the fact that we were long distance and like not just that trip, like it felt like it took so much to get to that first trip, but then even like so much over the next couple of years of doing that, and then everything we had to do for me to come here and for us to be together. It's like you go through so much just to do what normal couples do.
As magical and amazing as the trip is, as soon as the trip is over, that's where all the pain starts. And anyone that's ever been in long distance can understand. Long distance can work. It's percentage of success is extremely low. But I would never like people say, should I try it? Should I do it? I'm like, for me, I would not have been able to like live with myself if I didn't at least try. If it's something I wanted and I didn't at least give it a shot, this never would have happened. And I obviously there's a high chance you're going to get hurt and a high chance it's not going to work. But I'm the kind of person that will be hurt more by not exploring an opportunity that's in front of me. It was hard, and I'll be vulnerable. I don't care. Robocall's out. I'm pretty much got all my cards on the table.
That's true. It
was really, really hard to leave. And like the way we planned it, we got there on a Friday and we were leaving on a Wednesday. And if I had, in hindsight, I wouldn't have set it up this way. But, you know, we're just excited to book and something that would work. So the way that we had booked it, unfortunately, I had to leave first. It was the same day, but it was really early in the morning on that Wednesday. Yeah. And your flight wasn't until like that afternoon or that evening. Yeah. So I had to go. So it didn't make sense for us to go to the airport together because it would have been many, many, many hours you would have been at the airport by yourself.
Flight at like
and it's a different terminal anyway. It wouldn't have made any sense. So you stayed at the hotel and I had to leave the hotel really early, like 5 a.m. that morning. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my entire life. Coming from such a high to then having to leave you was like, you saw how I was. If you watched the Robocall episode 5, it was like that.
When you walked out, I was devastated.
I was breaking down in the elevator. And to get real personal, like one of the gifts you gave me on the trip was the little giraffe who we've named Carl.
Oh, I should have brought him out for this. He's safe from Odie because we don't want anything to happen to little Carl. So.
But he's a little giraffe. He's only like this big, but he's a little giraffe that you got at a zoo, right, in the UK or in England.
I before that I had a trip to London Zoo and I don't know why I picked up this little giraffe. That was for you.
We love giraffes and we talked about him before. There was a reason why. I can't remember, but anyway, you got me this giraffe. And so when I woke up really early, we had seen The Lion King the night before, but we would wake up very early and I was packing and you were still kind of like in bed, but it was like that air of like, okay, the trip's over. We're depressed, right? Yeah. So I'm packing. We're packing. It's quiet. We're both sad. We don't like this moment. But it was one of the last things I had to pack was the giraffe was just sitting on the chair and I went to grab it to pack him. And then like this, it almost like someone shoved a cattle prod at my ass with emotion because I just got shot. Nice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, you know what I mean?
Nice analogy.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it was just like an immediate wave of emotion. So it was like I picked him up and then I put him right back down. So I'm like, I can't do it yet. So I had to go pack the rest of my toiletry stuff and everything. I'm like, I'll pack him later. But walking out of the hotel room was one of, if not the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it was the only time we parted ways without having a future trip planned because of how hard that was.
Yeah, that's very true.
So anytime we parted ways, and we're very fortunate we were able to do this. We were able to see each other every 3 or 4 months, but we didn't have a future trip booked in that moment, and we did every time after that because we knew how hard that was, and we're like, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, and I suppose we were so, like, it was the first time we were just focusing on getting to the place that we didn't consider life after these 5 days.
Which, if there were any questions of whether or not it was real and it was going to work, they were answered as a yes within a half an hour of meeting each other. Like it just, any question, as nervous as I was, for me, any question of whether or not this is the right decision went out the window immediately.
Yeah, for me too. I was just like, this is going to be fine. This is fine. But not fine, but better than fine, but you know what I mean? As in, like, for all, attraction, safety, any of that stuff, I'm like, there's nothing.
I think we were compatible.
I think so.
Our humor, our personalities.
Just a tad. Quite compatible.
See, you get it now. But that's where the pain started. You get this. You put it exactly right. I was not thinking at all post New York.
Yeah.
My mind was, I'm like, I could have died at the end of that trip and it wouldn't have crossed my mind. If I knew I was getting executed at the end of that trip, I wouldn't have thought about it at all.
Yes.
During the trip,
yes.
That's how much we were on cloud nine.
Yeah.
I was.
We both were.
Unless you were just going through the motions
for
a green card. Which I'm still waiting for I'm sure there'll be comments on this video that I'm saying that. But it was hard. It's hard. Long distance is hard. And we had our own ways of coping with it. But we were long distance from that moment, which was December 2017, until you moved here in June of 2019.
Right. Which, looking back, doesn't seem that long. Like, those
but
people,
it felt like an eternity.
It did at the time, but there's people who are long distance for years and years and years before they actually come together.
And the changes that happened in my professional life and trilogy were monumental between those 2 years.
Oh my God. I mean, you changed.
I had a different life entirely in 2 years.
And even, like, in a way we both did, because I know, like, I know we were referencing the Robocall a lot, but, like, you talked about, like, how much he influenced you and how he changed your mindset about, like, working for yourself and not, obviously there's certain things you
positivity
have to...
and just your outlook on things.
Outlook on life, and the, finding ways to pursue your dreams, and even if it's not going to be as easy and you might have to do other things for a while, but, like, everything that art did for you did for me, because I changed so much in that 2 years, and even since then as well. But
day.
Look
at what you're doing right now.
Well, I was going to say,
you would have never done this. Back then.
No, but that's what I was curious to ask you is, do you think you married a different person?
No, I think everyone changes. You're supposed to. It's life. You're supposed to learn and grow and adapt. And I have done a lot of that. And so have you. And no, I don't think I've married a different person. I think you're a much stronger person than you were, as am I. And you've grown and you've changed and you've adapted. And that's how it works.
We've also grown together, which I think that's what makes the difference, is that, like, we've stayed together and it's worked, is because we've grown together.
And we have a floop.
And we have a beagle.
And he's finally napping in one of his many blankets.
How even our life circumstances separately from when we met were very different too by the time I moved, because you were doing freelance and you had started Trilogy, but it was in no way your main income. You were doing, like, all your freelance work and you were working on the side, and I was in a job that I absolutely...
Didn't you get in trouble for texting me so much?
I did, actually. Yeah, I got in trouble.
Bad girl.
Yeah, I was a bad girl.
But you hated that job.
I was so miserable.
And
miserable.
I had just come out of that 2 years prior.
Yes.
I was in that same position in a job I fucking hated. Many of them. Sorry.
No, it's
and understanding the value of leaving something you hate and taking a risk on something you want. I had just been there, still going through. And so I was like, I think I was, maybe, I don't know if I was pushy, but I was definitely supporting your decision to, like, make a change. Like, you don't like this. I can see it in your face. You're miserable. Like, what the hell? I also kept threatening to call her job anytime they would.
I forgot.
They would upset her.
That.
Anytime they would upset her or treat her poorly, I'm like, I'm gonna call. I know where you work.
You used to do that.
I'm gonna call and I'm up.
I forgot about that. You used to literally, and I'd be like, please don't. Like, I knew you were just teasing me.
I never did. I wouldn't have, but if you had allowed me to, I would have been a heartbeat.
Yeah, but I used to, like, kind of vent to you a little bit of, like, I'm so miserable right now, and it was like not an easy job. Like, I was front desk at the hotel, and
shame the location,
it was awful.
The management sucked ass, and they were treating you poorly, and I wanted to them up.
Yeah, and you used to tell me all the time, and I did. Yeah, there was one day I got in trouble for texting during a fire safety meeting.
Do you have some more important?
That's literally, I was pulled aside, and if it was me now, I would have answered this question differently. But the manager was like, "Do you have somewhere more important to be?" And if I was now, I'd be like, "I'd rather be at the dumpster than be here right now." Yes. But then I was like, "No."
Oh.
No. I was in my mind, or like on the inside, everything was screaming, this? But on the outside, I was like, no, I'm sorry. Whereas if that was now, I'd be like, you know what? This isn't worth it. But I was literally at the time, I was working there full time, but I had like part-time music students and in a job I didn't want. I knew I didn't want it. And then like mixture of you being like, well, you need to figure out a way to do what you want to do. If you're not happy here, like, why are you staying in a place that's making you miserable?
I even remember breaking it down. Like, okay, how much do you make from your students? Okay, how many students do you need to do per week to make up for this hotel job?
Yes.
Like, okay, then go and do, this is how you can get the students. You need to go in the market, and then when you quit the just. So I remember like breaking it down because I was so clear to me at that point.
Yes.
Because I'd just done it like 2 years prior, 2015. I did the same thing. You know, it's risky. I'm not encouraging anyone to quit their job, but if you're miserable in your life, you need to make changes, not blame the world.
Exactly,
so I was like, look, honey, you can do this. You're smart. You're capable. This is not hard. You just need to, it's just hard, but it's not hard. You know?
Yeah, and by the end of that year,
it's not hard.
By the end of 2017, I left the job and I was teaching full time up until I moved. I had like 30 to 35 students teaching music, and that like,
look at you.
Like it wasn't easy, but it also could have been a lot harder at the same time. Like I'm also very like just in a lucky place in life. Like, you know, there was no question of me ever like being on the street or anything like that. So I'm not saying like other people have had it way harder than me. Yeah. Not saying it was.
You gotta play the hand you're dealt.
Exactly.
Not everyone starts in the same level, of course, but you are still 100% in control of your life and the decisions and the places that you end up. So if you don't like it, make a change. It's like, for me, it was so clear at that point. But ask me 3 years prior to that, I would have given you a completely different, more sob-filled, frustrated answer.
Yeah.
You know? It's just a change of mindset. And it was so obvious then, but it's not obvious when you're in it, you know?
Yeah. We've both come so far. We came so far even when we were long distance, and then even since then, we've both come so far. I always kind of say this to people, like, I actually think like as hard as it was being apart and as weird as it all happened, it's not normal. And I would dread when people would ask me about my love life or whatever, because I'm like, yeah, I have a boyfriend in LA. And they're like, oh yeah, you do?
And he's on YouTube.
And he's on YouTube, and it's all in my fantasy.
Do you?
Do you read? Oh, okay, yeah, Amy's lost her mind. The hotel job has gone to her head.
Well, and not to knock anyone, but there also is a different mentality in a small town.
Oh, 100%.
Which there's nothing wrong with a small town.
No.
But if you're not happy with where you are, there is an element of small town mentality that can keep you there if you let it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the right person to comment on that, but I've also seen it happen time and time again with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I come from Reno. It's not a tiny town, but it's also not a flourishing town of opportunity. So like, I kind of get it. It's why I left.
But I do think that because we were long distance, it like starting the relationship on that foot, I do think it's made us stronger, because even now to this day, like we still don't like being apart.
Right. Every
time you leave, now it's not like it was, of course, but even like whether you go out for a few hours or you're at the office, or even if you're gone for a couple of nights doing a scammer bust or something, like obviously I know you're coming back, but there's still that like little bit left over.
It's a little bit of like PTSD of that feeling of like leaving. Yeah, I get it too.
But it also happens like when I go back to Ireland to visit and you stay here, it's that like, oh God, it's there again.
You're coming back, right? Right? Right. Yeah, I get that.
It's not in a dramatic sense of like, oh my God, we can't live without each other, but it's like but not in a like where your life like we fall apart without each other.
Well,
but
I do.
To ask Chappie.
Chappie? Shit.
But you know what I mean.
When
like,
Amy's out of town and I'm alone, I just give Chappie an earful. I'm like, I'm fucking miserable. Feck. I call her and she's, what's wrong? I'm like, no, I'm just calling. I'm like, she's like.
Then I get emails from her like, come back. Come back.
Chappie is her name.
That was my point anyway with that, was that like, because we didn't start things like a normal couple where you meet and you have dates or whatever and you live close or you're able to see each other with a drive or whatever. I don't know, I just feel like it gives us a different perspective on our situation, where I feel like we don't really take each other for granted.
Yeah.
You know, which is quite common, I think, in long-term relationships or marriages. You kind of get...
You gave up a lot to come here.
Yeah.
I mean, we all made our own sacrifices in certain ways, I guess, but you made more than me, which I will never take for granted.
Yeah, I know that.
You changed your whole life. You.
The trajectory of, I mean, for both of us as well, but for me, from my perspective, the trajectory of my life, like, took a complete right angle, or what's the whatever, like it went like that. It's just one of those things that kind of makes my brain fry, honestly, of like where I could have ended up and where I have.
It really makes your brain explode when you start thinking about the little decisions, whether it's you want to call it the chaos theory or whatever you call it, but or divine intervention or God or whatever you believe in. I'm just saying, it makes you think a lot about the little details and the little micro decisions that were made in certain moments that if it were made at 1 degree differently, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
Meaning viral video, meaning her sending that text message, meaning me replying to that text message.
Or if I'd sent it a day later or 2 months later, you might not have seen it.
Or me saying, honey, I want a dog.
Don't start.
And now we got a flooper. He's very floopy. Leave comments below because we have a lot more we could talk about if you care. Regarding her actually moving here, how we did that, the K1 visa, which we did, a lot of specifics about that if anyone's curious about how it works. And
how we were almost on 90 Day Fiancé. Just kidding.
Well, I mean, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility, but most people's wealth of knowledge of the K1 visa is from that show, and that's all they know. So we could talk about it. We should really we could talk about it.
What's the word?
Debunk.
Debunk. There we go. Debunk a lot of that.
Not that I think it's misportrayed, but I think that it's
Yeah, it's not.
I don't know how to put it. I'd have to think about it. If you have questions, put them in the comments. You could talk about with the K1. Talk about you moving here, preparing for the wedding, having only 90 days to get married, getting your family to be able to come to the wedding.
Yeah.
What it was like quitting your jobs, leaving your students. What was like your first week here? Like
coming to Ireland.
Visiting, seeing the family, asking her dad for permission the first time I met him to marry her, meeting him for the first time in a moment I wasn't expecting.
And he's so scary.
There's a lot of things we could talk about, but if we did, the video would be 2-3 hours long. So
yeah, seriously.
It's completely up to you. We can keep going, or we can pause it here and take comments and do a part 2.
I think that's a good idea.
In a couple of weeks or whatever you want.
I think that's a good idea.
Totally up to you.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. If you want to see the text that she sent me,
no,
put it in the comments.
No, don't promise that. Don't promise
I didn't promise that. I said if you want to see it, put it in the comments. And if you really want to see it, reply to those comments and get it bumped up, and then we can. I'll reply and.
Yeah, you'll bump it.
Yeah.
You put a Trilogy Media heart on it or whatever. Yeah. No, I can't promise that.
You know how I would get a lot of people to watch this video? I could put.
I don't want to know. No, I don't.
I could put a community post on Trilogy's channel with the text blurred, and I'm like, if you want to see the text, go to my wife's channel and watch it. I'm no good.
You're the best. All right, I'm happy with that so far. So again, comments.
We'll do a part 2, but you got to put your comments below on what you want us to dive into more, because I'm sure we glossed over a lot of stuff.
We did, and I knew that would happen. It was going to be a lot of tangents, so keep those comments so we can have a structure and things to specifically discuss in a part 2 if you guys want that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want more videos with Ashton, and we haven't filmed with each other in a while because life is pretty busy at the moment. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, like we talked about, subscribe, and I have links in the description for Patreon, members, merch store, all that good stuff for anyone who would like to support. But just thanks for your time. Thanks for watching all the way through, and we'll catch you very soon in a part 2, hopefully. Bye!